Welcome back. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks ordinary at first glance. A simple 1-cent piece, yet it carries decades of history, hidden stories, and the potential to surprise even the most seasoned collectors. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing coins from the modern Lincoln penny series, the 1973 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. On the surface, it might seem like any penny you find in your change, but for collectors, it's a coin that tells a story about America's past, its currency, and the subtle details that make certain pennies stand out in a sea of ordinary coins. The 1973 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, which began back in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. The penny features the familiar portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and has become one of the most iconic images on American coins. What sets the 1973 D apart is not just the date but the details behind its production, its mint mark, and the slight variations that make certain specimens highly sought after by collectors. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D below the date, distinguishing it from pennies minted in Philadelphia or San Francisco that same year. To understand the significance of the 1973 D penny, it's helpful to step back and look at the year itself. The early 1970s were a time of transition for the United States, both economically and culturally. Inflation was starting to affect everyday life, and coin production was under pressure to keep up with the demand for currency in circulation. The Lincoln penny had long been made of a copper-based alloy, and by 1973, the composition remained 95% copper with 5% zinc. While the composition itself wasn't unique, the minting process sometimes produced subtle anomalies that could make a particular penny highly desirable. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1973 D Lincoln penny is its design and construction. The obverse features Lincoln's profile, looking solemn and contemplative, a symbol of integrity and leadership. The reverse, which was still the wheat ears design until 1958 and later replaced by the Lincoln Memorial in 1959, shows the Lincoln Memorial, a tiny but detailed homage to the monument in Washington, D.C. Every detail, from the lettering to the texture of Lincoln's hair, was carefully crafted, but small variations during striking, like double dies, repunched mint marks, or planchet errors, can transform an everyday coin into a rare collector's piece. While the 1973 D penny is generally common, certain variations are much rarer. For instance, a double die obverse or a misaligned mint mark can increase a coin's value significantly. In particular, coins with a faint doubling of the date or the letters in Liberty can command attention at auctions. Another rare occurrence involves striking errors such as off-center impressions or variations in the alloy that produce an unusual color or sheen. These minor imperfections are exactly what collectors look for, because they make each coin unique in a way that goes beyond the standard mass-produced pennies in circulation. The rarity of these coins and their variations can have a dramatic impact on value. While a standard 1973 D Lincoln penny in circulated condition might be worth only a few cents above face value, an uncirculated coin or one with a notable error can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars among collectors. For example, in past auctions, certain 1973 D pennies with slight doubling of the date or mint mark have sold for over $200. Coins graded by professional services such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, in pristine mint condition have commanded even higher prices, particularly those graded MS-65 or above. It's fascinating to see how a simple cent, when preserved carefully and possessing rare characteristics, can carry value far beyond its original 1-cent denomination. If you're wondering how to tell a genuine 1973 D Lincoln penny from a fake or altered coin, there are several key details to watch for. First, examine the mint mark carefully. On authentic Denver minted coins, the D should be crisp and well-formed, located just below the date. Any unusual spacing, misalignment, or excessive doubling can indicate either a rare variety or a counterfeit, so comparison with verified examples is essential. Next, check the overall weight and composition. A standard 1973 D penny should weigh around 3.11 grams, composed primarily of copper. Altered or plated coins may feel lighter or show inconsistencies in color. Lastly, look for signs of wear that match the coin's age. Coins that appear too perfect for their circulation history could have been polished or tampered with, reducing their collector value. There are also some fun and surprising details about the 1973 VDB Lincoln penny that make it more than just a small piece of copper. For one, the coin was produced during a period when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with die polishing and other techniques to reduce the occurrence of die cracks and imperfections. As a result, some coins show faint lines or polishing marks that tell a story about the minting process itself. Additionally, the penny is part of a long lineage of Lincoln cents that have captured the attention of millions of Americans. The image of Lincoln, representing honesty and perseverance, has made the penny a coin that's not only used for transactions but also cherished as a collectible piece of national heritage. Collectors are drawn to the 1973 VDB Lincoln penny for a variety of reasons. Beyond the potential for monetary value, these coins offer a tangible connection to American history. They serve as reminders of a specific moment in time, reflecting both the art and technology of coin production in the 1970s. Many collectors enjoy hunting for subtle variations and imperfections, turning what seems like a mundane coin into a rewarding quest. Owning a 1973 VDB penny, especially one in exceptional condition or with a rare error, provides a sense of pride and connection to a community of enthusiasts who appreciate the stories these coins carry. Even today, decades after its production, the 1973 VDB Lincoln penny continues to captivate collectors. It's a coin that proves you don't need to find a centuries-old rare piece to experience the thrill of discovery. A careful eye, knowledge of mint marks, and attention to small details can reveal treasures hidden in plain sight, tucked away in jars, drawers, or circulation. Every coin has a story, and the 1973 VDB Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how even modern coins can carry history, rarity, and intrigue. So next time you find a penny in your pocket, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of history in your hand, a coin with subtle secrets waiting to be discovered. The 1973 VDB Lincoln penny reminds us that even everyday objects can hold extraordinary stories. And as collectors continue to search, study, and preserve these coins, the mystery and excitement only grow, leaving us to wonder. What other hidden treasures are still waiting to be found in the spare change we overlook every day? Welcome back. Imagine holding a tiny piece of American history in the palm of your hand, a coin that has quietly survived decades yet carries stories from the moment it was struck. Today, we're exploring one of the most intriguing pennies ever minted in the United States, the 1975 VDB Mint Mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it might seem like just another penny, but for collectors and coin enthusiasts, it holds a special place in the world of rare and valuable coins. What makes this small copper disc so fascinating? And why are some people willing to pay hundreds of dollars for a coin that most of us have passed over without a second thought? By the end of this video, you'll understand why this unassuming penny has captured the attention of collectors across the country. The 1975 VDB Lincoln penny is a 1-cent coin produced by the United States Mint in Denver, indicated by the small D stamped beneath the date. This coin is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, which has been in circulation since 1909, commemorating the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln penny was revolutionary for its time, being the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than an allegorical figure. Over the decades, the penny has remained remarkably consistent in design, featuring Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which was introduced in 1959 in 1975. The United States was in a period of economic transition. The country had recently emerged from the energy crises of the early 1970s, and inflation was beginning to affect daily life. Pennies were still widely used, and millions were minted each year to keep up with demand. The 1975 VDB Lincoln penny was struck in Denver, where the mint had become well known for producing high-quality coins with minimal defects. This particular coin is made primarily of copper, with a small percentage of zinc, following the composition that had been standard for Lincoln cents since the early 20th century. Its weight and size are identical to pennies before it, measuring 19 millimeters in diameter and weighing just over 3 grams. One of the reasons collectors find the 1975 VDB penny so interesting is not because it was the first of its kind, but because of the subtle variations that can occur in minting. Errors, such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, or weakly struck details, can make a common coin rare and highly sought after. For the 1975 VDB penny, the most notable variants are those with minor doubling on the date or lettering. These errors were not intentional, of course. They are the result of small misalignments or wear in the minting dies, but they give the coin a story and a uniqueness that standard pennies simply don't have. Even without errors, certain coins from this year are valued more highly in collector grades due to their excellent condition or full mint luster, which becomes rare as the coin ages. So why is this penny considered rare or valuable at all, given that millions were minted? The answer lies in survival rate and condition. While millions of 1975 pennies entered circulation, most were spent and worn down over the years. Coins in near-perfect, uncirculated condition have become scarce. A penny that still gleams like the day it left the Denver Mint can fetch far more than face value, particularly if it shows crisp details on Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial. Additionally, coins with known minting errors or die variations can sometimes sell for hundreds of dollars, depending on severity and collector demand. The rarity of a coin isn't always about quantity. It's about the combination of condition, unique features, and historical context. Real auction examples illustrate this well. A 1975 penny in mint state condition, graded by professional services as MS65, can sell for around $50 to $100, even though it was once considered a common penny. Coins with visible doubling on the date or letters have been known to reach even higher prices. Collectors are particularly drawn to coins certified by reputable grading services, as these ensure authenticity and provide an official assessment of condition. Auctions for rare pennies often include careful examination of these details, and prices can spike when a truly flawless example appears, showing the enduring appeal of even a small copper coin. Identifying a genuine 1975 Lincoln penny is relatively straightforward, but attention to detail is crucial. The D mint mark should be clearly visible just below the date on the obverse side. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln should have fine, well-defined lines, especially around the beard and hair. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial should show the individual columns and the steps leading up to it. Weight and dimensions can also be measured if there is any doubt, and coins that feel unusually light or have poorly defined features may be suspect. Counterfeits of modern pennies are rare, but sometimes altered coins appear on the market, so using a reputable grading service or consulting a knowledgeable collector is always a wise precaution. There are also fun and surprising details about this penny that many people don't know. The 1975 Lincoln penny is part of a long tradition of coins that silently record American history. Abraham Lincoln's image has remained on the penny through wars, economic crises, and social change. The tiny D mark represents Denver, a city that expanded rapidly in the 20th century and whose mint became a critical facility for coin production. For coin enthusiasts, the Lincoln Penny series is almost like a time capsule, with each year offering subtle differences and stories waiting to be discovered. Some collectors even enjoy comparing the 1975 to its Philadelphia counterpart, which lacks the mint mark and can show different wear patterns, creating a small but fascinating puzzle. Collectors love the 1975 Lincoln penny today because it represents a perfect balance between history, accessibility, and the thrill of discovery. Unlike coins that are centuries old and extremely rare, this penny is within reach for many collectors, yet it still offers opportunities to find minting errors, pristine examples, or unusual die variations. It's a coin that invites exploration. Careful eyes can spot details that others overlook, and a lucky find in change or at a flea market can instantly become a prized addition to a collection. There's something satisfying about holding a piece of history that connects the present to a specific year, a specific city, and a moment in time that most of us would never otherwise notice. In the end, the 1975 Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It is a small but tangible link to America's past, a reminder of a president who shaped the nation, and a symbol of the care and craftsmanship that went into American coinage. Whether it's a mint state example, a coin with a subtle error, or simply one that's been preserved against the wear of time, this penny carries stories that go far beyond its 1-cent value. Next time you find a Lincoln penny in your pocket or at the bottom of a jar, take a closer look. You might just discover a hidden treasure from 1975, a tiny artifact that connects you to history and the enduring fascination of collecting. Even after decades, the 1975 Lincoln penny continues to capture attention, not because it's flashy or rare in the traditional sense, but because every small detail tells a story. Could the penny sitting on your desk or in your collection be one of those special examples? The next time you hold a 1975 VDB Lincoln Cent, imagine the hands that struck it, the people who used it, and the journey it has taken. History, value, and curiosity are all wrapped into this unassuming little coin, waiting for someone to notice. Keep your eyes open, because sometimes the most ordinary-looking pennies can hide the most extraordinary secrets. This is the magic of coin collecting, the thrill of discovery, the connection to the past, and the simple joy of holding history in your hand, one small coin at a time. Welcome back. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people have seen, yet only a select few know its true value. A coin so ordinary at first glance, but with a story that could surprise even the most experienced collectors. Today, we're diving into the world of the 1978 Lincoln penny, the version with no mint mark, a small copper disc that has quietly captured the fascination of numismatists across the country. If you've ever found an old penny in your pocket or on the sidewalk, you might be holding a piece of history without even knowing it. The coin we're exploring is the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent piece, famously minted in Philadelphia, which is why it carries no mint mark. Unlike its siblings from Denver or San Francisco, these Philadelphia pennies were the workhorses of the U.S. Mint, intended for everyday transactions. At first glance, it may look like just another penny, a tiny copper coin you might overlook, but this specific version holds stories of production, design, and collecting intrigue that make it far more interesting than its face value suggests. The year 1978 sits in a fascinating era of American coinage. The country was navigating a period of economic change, with inflation creeping into daily life and the cost of metals starting to influence the coin production process. Lincoln pennies had already been in circulation for nearly 7 decades, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's centennial birth year. By 1978, the Lincoln Cent had seen subtle changes in composition, design refinements, and mass production techniques. The obverse still featured the familiar portrait of Lincoln, a profile designed by Victor David Brenner, with the word Liberty to the left and the year 1978 to the right. The reverse showcased the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. What seemed simple on the surface was the result of careful artistry and a long tradition of American numismatics. The 1978 Lincoln penny is made primarily of copper, specifically a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This gave it the warm, reddish tone that many coin collectors love. While this composition is common for pennies minted before 1982, it's important because the metal itself adds to the coin's durability and its appeal to collectors today. Beyond the metal, the design carries subtle details that enthusiasts look for, like the fine lines in Lincoln's coat, the delicate rendering of the steps leading to the Lincoln Memorial, and the faint shadows that give the coin a sense of depth. But what truly sparks curiosity are the rare errors that occasionally appear in these pennies. Some 1978 no-mint mark pennies show double dies, slight off-center strikes, or faint die cracks. These minor production quirks can instantly turn an everyday penny into a collector's gem. So why is the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny considered rare or valuable to some collectors? The rarity isn't due to the sheer number of coins produced. In fact, millions of these pennies were minted in Philadelphia. The intrigue comes from the errors and variations, combined with the condition. A penny found in uncirculated or mint state condition from 1978 can be worth far more than its 1-cent face value. Coins that escaped the wear and tear of daily circulation, maintaining their original luster and crisp details, are the ones collectors seek. Even slight imperfections or unique production anomalies can make a particular penny the focus of intense bidding among numismatists. To put real numbers to this, auction results and private sales show how condition and rarity impact value. A standard circulated 1978 no-mint mark penny might only be worth a few cents above face value to a collector. However, uncirculated examples with high-grade certification from respected organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation can fetch several dollars. Rare error coins, especially those with notable double dies or unusual minting mistakes, can sell for hundreds of dollars, sometimes even more depending on collector demand. One example featured a 1978 penny with a significant doubling of the date and lettering, which attracted bids exceeding $250 at a specialized coin auction. While these figures might seem modest compared to rare coins from the 1800s, for a 20th century penny, this is significant. Identifying a genuine 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is surprisingly simple once you know what to look for. First, check the mint mark area carefully. Philadelphia pennies of this year should have no mint mark below the year. Coins from Denver or San Francisco will have a small D or S respectively. Next, look at the quality of the strike. Genuine coins have sharp, clear details on Lincoln's bust and the Lincoln Memorial steps. The color should be a consistent coppery hue, not unnaturally dark or light. Be cautious of coins that appear artificially aged or clean to hide wear. Collectors also pay close attention to any anomalies, like die cracks, doubled letters, or off-center strikes. These are typically small, subtle, and may require a magnifying glass, but they are the very details that elevate the coin from ordinary to collectible. The 1978 penny also has some fun and surprising facts that make it a joy to explore. For instance, this was the same year that the U.S. Mint experimented with slightly altering the composition of pennies to test wear resistance, a practice that rarely made headlines. Another interesting detail is that Lincoln's portrait, though familiar, was re-engraved for sharper details in the 1970s, giving some coins a subtly different appearance than those minted in the early 1970s. Some collectors even compare the 1978 pennies to find the most detailed examples of Lincoln's hair and coat, a pastime that may seem minute but is highly satisfying for enthusiasts. Collectors today are drawn to the 1970s. Welcome back. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in your hand, a coin that has quietly circulated in pockets and purses for decades, yet holds stories and secrets that many people overlook. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1979 D-Mint mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it may seem like just another penny, but for collectors and enthusiasts, this small copper disc carries a wealth of intrigue, subtle details, and value that can surprise even the casual observer. The 1979 D Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of Lincoln Cents, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This coin, like its predecessors, features the familiar profile of Lincoln on the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse showcases the Lincoln Memorial, a design that has been standard for Lincoln Cents from 1959 through 2008. The D mint mark, located just below the date on the front of the coin, signifies that it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the two primary production facilities for pennies at the time, the other being Philadelphia, which produced pennies without a mint mark. 1979 was a significant year for the United States. It was a time of economic challenges and cultural shifts, and coins like the Lincoln penny were a reflection of everyday life. While the Lincoln Cent had been a mainstay for decades, every year's minting has subtle differences, whether in metal composition, minting errors, or design variations, which can turn an ordinary coin into a sought-after collectible. The 1979 D penny is no exception. It was minted primarily in copper, with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, the standard for pennies at the time. This gives the coin a distinct reddish-brown hue that collectors appreciate, especially when it has been well preserved. Over time, pennies naturally darken or develop a patina, which can make spotting a high-grade 1979 D penny an exciting challenge for collectors. One of the things that makes the 1979 D penny stand out is the occasional minting errors. While most coins were produced flawlessly, some slipped through with double dies or minor die cracks. These errors are subtle but highly prized among collectors. For instance, a doubled die may show slight doubling in the date or in the word Liberty, a feature invisible to the casual observer but easily spotted with a magnifying glass. Even minor variations, like a weak strike on Lincoln's profile or slight off-center minting, can increase a coin's desirability and value. While not every 1979 D penny has these errors, the few that do are considered particularly special. So why is this penny considered valuable at all? The truth is, the 1979 D Lincoln penny is not inherently rare in terms of mintage. Millions were struck that year at the Denver Mint, making it common for everyday transactions. However, rarity in the coin world isn't just about quantity, it's about condition and anomalies. A penny from 1979 in uncirculated condition, with full mint luster and no scratches or wear, can command a premium among collectors. Coins that show evidence of special striking errors or exceptional preservation are even more coveted, often fetching prices far above their face value. To give you an idea of its market value, typical circulated 1979D pennies are generally worth only a few cents over face value, perhaps up to $1 if they are in extremely fine condition. However, examples that are uncirculated or certified by reputable grading services, like PCGS or NGC, can fetch anywhere from $5 to $20. The real excitement comes from coins with notable errors. A 1979D penny with a strong double die or die crack can sell for hundreds, sometimes even surpassing $1,000 depending on the severity and visibility of the error. Auction houses and online marketplaces regularly see these coins attract keen bids from collectors eager to add a rare example to their collections. For anyone curious about collecting these pennies, identifying a genuine 1979D is straightforward but requires attention to detail. The first step is to check for the mint mark, a small but clear D, just below the date. Next, examine the coin's weight and color. Authentic 1979D pennies are slightly heavier than modern pennies, weighing about 3.11 grams, and they maintain that reddish-brown copper tone. Be cautious of reproductions or altered coins, which may appear shiny or too perfect. Collectors often use magnifying glasses or loop lenses to inspect lettering, date clarity, and possible die anomalies. Coins with unusual features should ideally be sent to a professional grading service for verification and certification, ensuring both authenticity and market value. Beyond the value and identification tips, there are some fascinating details about the 1979D penny that make it more than just a collectible. For example, did you know that Abraham Lincoln's image has appeared on the penny longer than on any other U.S. coin? That means holding a Lincoln Cent, even one from 1979, connects you to over a century of American history. Additionally, 1979 was part of a decade when the U.S. Mint experimented with production techniques to improve efficiency and reduce costs, subtly affecting the quality and appearance of coins. These small differences, sometimes invisible to the untrained eye, can make each 1979D penny unique in its own right. Collectors are particularly drawn to the 1979D penny because it represents a bridge between history and everyday life. Unlike rare colonial coins or high-value gold pieces, this penny is something familiar yet intriguing. It's a coin that many people carried in their wallets or jars at home, yet it holds the potential for discovery and appreciation decades later. For some, collecting these pennies is a way to preserve a piece of American history, while for others, it's a hobby that combines excitement, research, and a little bit of treasure hunting. Every coin tells a story, and the 1979D penny has witnessed ordinary hands and extraordinary collectors alike die in the end. The 1979D Mint Mark Lincoln penny is more than just a 1-cent piece. It's a window into 1979 America, a tangible connection to Abraham Lincoln's enduring legacy, and a small artifact that can ignite curiosity and passion in collectors of all ages. Whether you find one in change, inherit a jar of old pennies, or acquire a certified coin at an auction, each 1979D penny carries its own story. The next time you come across a shiny, reddish-brown penny with a tiny D under the date, pause for a moment. You might be holding a piece of history, a subtle treasure from the past that has quietly survived the years, waiting for someone to recognize its worth and wonder. And if you think that's the end of the story, think again. Every coin has secrets, and who knows, among the thousands of 1979D pennies out there, one might just be hiding an unusual mark, a tiny error, or a luster so perfect it defies expectation. Keep your eyes open, because the next time you glance at a humble penny, it might just reveal a story worth a lifetime. Welcome back. Imagine holding a small piece of American history in the palm of your hand, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but carries a story that collectors around the country would pay hundreds, even thousands of dollars to own. Today, we're diving into one of the more intriguing coins in the world of U.S. currency, the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. At first, it might seem like just another penny, something you might find in your pocket or under the couch cushions. But as you'll discover, this little copper disc has a story that connects the past, craftsmanship, and a tiny twist that makes it a treasure for collectors. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a 1-cent coin from the United States, part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series that started in 1909. Unlike earlier pennies, which had a more classical design, this coin continues the modern Lincoln motif, with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. What makes this coin immediately intriguing is the absence of a mint mark. Normally, coins produced in Denver carry a D mint mark, while coins from Philadelphia were typically unmarked during this era. The 1981 penny presents a subtle puzzle for collectors. Without the mint mark, it's easy to overlook, but that very absence is what makes it interesting in the collector world. To understand why the 1981 Lincoln penny is noteworthy, it helps to look back at the year itself. In 1981, the United States was experiencing a mix of economic challenges and cultural shifts. President Ronald Reagan had just taken office, interest rates were high, and the economy was adjusting after a difficult period in the late 1970s. In this context, the U.S. Mint continued producing pennies not for circulation excitement, but as a reliable, everyday currency. That year, the Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark on its coins, which was standard practice, but what makes certain 1981 pennies rare today is that errors and unusual variations were sometimes struck by accident during production. These can include double dies, repunched mint marks, or off-center strikes. Each minor flaw transforms a simple coin into a collectible item, and savvy collectors know how to spot these subtle differences. The design of the 1981 Lincoln penny is classic yet precise. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln facing right, a design that has graced the penny for decades, with the word Liberty to the left and the date to the right. On the reverse is the Lincoln Memorial, an image that was used on pennies from 1959 through 2008. The coin is primarily copper, composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it that warm, familiar reddish-brown tone. Even minor differences in color, luster, or wear can help experts determine its value. One of the more fascinating aspects is that while millions of these coins were minted, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition with no mint mark is increasingly uncommon. So, why is this penny considered rare or valuable today? It's not that the 1981 no mint mark penny is inherently a super rare coin in the way that older, early 20th century pennies are. Instead, its appeal lies in condition, error varieties, and collector interest. Coins with unusual strikes, sharp details, or exceptional preservation can fetch much higher prices than their face value. Collectors also enjoy assembling complete sets of pennies from each year, and having a 1981 penny in top condition without a mint mark becomes an essential piece of that puzzle. The rarity is subtle, tied not to the number of coins produced, but to the challenge of finding one that meets strict grading standards and has the eye-catching features that coin enthusiasts prize. Real-world examples illustrate this perfectly. In auctions over the past decade, 1981 no-mint mark pennies in near-perfect condition, graded MS-65 or higher by professional coin graders, have sold for between $50 and $200, sometimes more if an unusual error is present. Certain coins with double dies or repunched date anomalies have crossed the $500 mark. While these numbers might not rival the rarest pre-1909 Lincoln cents or early Indian head pennies, they show that even coins we consider modern can carry collectible value if they meet the right criteria. Collectors who actively search coin rolls, estate sales, or specialized auctions often find that the thrill of discovering a high-grade 1981 penny is both exciting and financially rewarding. Identifying a real 1981 no-mint mark penny versus a fake or altered coin requires careful attention. The first step is to look at the coin's date and ensure it is consistent with the Lincoln Memorial design of that era. Examining the strike is important. Letters and numbers should be sharp, with no signs of erasure or tampering. Weight and metal composition can also be tested. Authentic pennies of this period are nearly 1 gram lighter than later zinc-heavy pennies produced after 1982. For error varieties like double dies, magnification is essential. Small shifts in the date or letters can reveal whether a coin is an authentic error or a digitally altered reproduction. While counterfeits are not common for this specific year, due diligence is key, especially when purchasing a coin at auction or from a private seller. Here's a fun detail that many people don't know. Although the Lincoln penny is small and everyday, It has inspired entire communities of collectors who specialize in modern errors. These enthusiasts consider each tiny variation a miniature puzzle. Some 1981 pennies, for example, show slight differences in Lincoln's beard lines or the texture of the memorial columns. These minute variations can make a coin more desirable than an ordinary circulated example. It's a reminder that even the smallest piece of currency can carry hidden stories and subtle artistry. Collectors love the 1981 no-mint mark penny today because it represents accessibility and discovery. Unlike older coins, which can cost thousands of dollars or more, these pennies are obtainable by dedicated hobbyists, yet still offer the thrill of rarity when found in top condition. They also provide a tangible connection to the early 1980s, a period of American history marked by economic and cultural change. Owning one allows a collector to feel part of that continuum, linking a simple coin to a larger story of history, craftsmanship, and chance. As you consider this coin, it's fascinating to think about the journey each penny has taken. From the Philadelphia Mint to your pocket, to a collector's display, and sometimes even to auction blocks, each 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has passed through countless hands, quietly retaining value and curiosity along the way. The next time you come across a penny and change, it's worth a moment to look closely, because what seems ordinary might just be extraordinary. So, if you ever get the chance to examine a 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, take your time. Notice the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, the depth of the memorial columns, and the color and luster of the copper. Think about the history it carries, the minor variations that make it unique, and the collectors who have sought these coins for decades. Who knows, one small coin in your hand could be a piece of history waiting to tell its story. The next time you reach for a penny, remember that behind its everyday appearance lies a world of stories, rare finds, and hidden treasures that continue to capture the curiosity of collectors across America. Welcome back. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in the palm of your hand, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, yet carries stories, surprises, and hidden value that could fascinate collectors for decades. Today, we're diving into one of those seemingly simple coins that has captured the attention of numismatists and casual collectors alike. The 1985 D-Mint mark Lincoln penny. At first, it might just look like another copper-colored penny, the kind you see every day in your pocket or at the grocery store. But if you look closer, you'll discover layers of history, subtle details, and even potential value that make this coin much more than loose change. By the end of this video, you'll see why a coin from 1985, minted in Denver, has become a point of interest for collectors across the United States. The 1985 D. Lincoln penny is part of a series that has been in circulation for decades, yet its story begins over a century ago. The Lincoln Cent was first issued in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, marking the first time an actual historical figure appeared on a circulating American coin. The design was created by Victor David Brenner, a sculptor and medalist, who captured Lincoln's portrait in a way that has endured for generations. Fast forward to 1985, and the Lincoln Cent had already become an iconic piece of American currency, familiar to anyone who had ever used a penny. The D mint mark tells us that this particular coin was produced in Denver, Colorado, one of the two primary mints responsible for circulating pennies at that time. The other mint, Philadelphia, produced the majority of coins without any mint mark. In 1985, the United States Mint struck billions of Lincoln cents, mostly for everyday transactions. These coins were primarily made of a copper-plated zinc composition, a change that had been fully implemented since 1982. Prior to that, pennies were largely made of solid copper, but rising metal costs had forced the mint to adopt a 97.5% zinc core with a thin 2.5% copper coating. This change made the penny lighter and less expensive to produce, but it also created some interesting variations that collectors keep an eye on, including differences in color, weight, and even errors during the minting process. The 1985 D. Lincoln penny may seem ordinary, but those very details can make certain specimens stand out from the rest. One of the most intriguing aspects of this coin lies in its subtle errors and variations. While the majority of 1985 D pennies were struck without issue, a small number were produced with what collectors call die cracks or double die impressions. A double die occurs when the coin is struck more than once by a misaligned die, creating slightly doubled images on the coin surface, often visible on the date, lettering, or Lincoln's portrait. Die cracks, on the other hand, appear as thin raised lines, often running across Lincoln's shoulder or the rim. These flaws are not defects in the sense of being damaged. They are mistakes that happen during the minting process, making the coin unique and highly collectible. Even pennies that appear perfect to the casual eye might hide tiny variations that experts carefully inspect under magnification. So why would a coin from 1985, a relatively recent year, be considered rare or valuable? The answer lies in a combination of minting errors, condition, and collector demand. Coins that have remained uncirculated, retaining their original mint luster and free from scratches, tend to be more sought after than pennies that have passed through everyday use. In addition, the 1985 D penny features certain error types that are quite scarce. For example, some coins were struck with a doubled die on the obverse, making the date and the word Liberty appear slightly doubled. Others might have die cracks or tiny planchet defects that occur when the metal blank isn't perfectly formed. These errors, though subtle, can significantly increase a coin's desirability and market value, particularly among collectors who specialize in modern Lincoln cents. Real-life examples highlight just how much these pennies can be worth. While a standard circulated 1985 D penny might be worth only a few cents, an uncirculated coin graded MS-65 or higher by professional services can fetch several dollars. But the rare error coins are a different story. A 1985 D double die obverse penny sold at auction for over $1,200 in recent years, and other error varieties with pronounced die cracks or misstrikes have appeared in the $500 to $1,000 range. These sales show that even a penny from the 1980s can hold considerable value if it has the right combination of rarity, condition, and collectible interest. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for these subtle gems, turning what seems like a mundane coin into a potentially lucrative find. Identifying a real 1985 D penny versus a fake or altered one requires careful observation. First, always check the mint mark. The D should appear clearly below the date on the obverse side of the coin. Look at the date closely, too, especially for any signs of doubling or unusual raised areas, which indicate a double die. Examine the edges and rim for irregularities or die cracks, and note the coin's color. A genuine 1985 D penny will have the copper-plated zinc tone typical of post-1982 pennies. Weighing the coin can also help. Authentic pennies from this period weigh approximately 2.5 grams. Coins that are significantly heavier or lighter may have been altered or counterfeit. Using a magnifying glass or loupe is essential for spotting these minute details, as counterfeiters often miss the subtle variations in minting that experts look for. Here's a fun fact that surprises many people. The 1985 D penny is part of a transitional era in U.S. coinage. Before 1982, pennies were mostly solid copper, and after that, the zinc core composition became standard. This means a 1985 penny, even though it is relatively modern, represents a shift in American minting technology. Additionally, Lincoln's portrait, which has appeared on the cent since 1909, remained largely unchanged through the 1980s, yet the coin still reflects the economic and material changes of its time. For collectors, that makes it both a historical artifact and a snapshot of everyday life in mid-1980s America, something you can hold, examine, and even pass down to future generations. Collectors love the 1985 D Lincoln penny for many reasons. First, it's accessible. Unlike rare coins from the 1800s, you can still find 1985 D pennies in circulation, in collections, or at coin shops, offering a tangible connection to recent history. Second, the subtle errors and variations provide endless opportunities. Welcome back. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people pass by without a second thought, yet it could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving into one of those hidden treasures in American coin collecting, the 1989 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it might look like any ordinary penny, but for collectors and enthusiasts, this tiny piece of copper can hold extraordinary stories and surprising value. By the end of this video, you'll see why this small coin has captured the attention of both casual collectors and serious numismatists alike. The 1989 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of Lincoln cents, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, America's 16th president. For over 80 years, the Lincoln penny has been a familiar sight in wallets, cash registers, and coin jars across the country. But what makes the 1989 issue so special, especially the ones with no mint mark? To understand this, we need to take a closer look at the coin's history and the circumstances of its production. In 1989, the United States Mint produced Lincoln pennies primarily in Philadelphia, marked with a small P on the obverse, and in Denver, marked with a D. However, a small number of pennies from Philadelphia were released without any mint mark at all. At the time, the Philadelphia Mint had started routinely adding the P mint mark, making a no mint mark penny unusual and instantly interesting to collectors. The absence of a mint mark makes the coin stand out, and it's this subtle difference that gives it both historical and potential financial significance. The coin itself is made mostly of copper-plated zinc, a change that had been implemented a few years earlier in 1982 to save costs. The obverse, or front, features Abraham Lincoln's portrait, a design by Victor David Brenner that has graced the penny for decades. Lincoln is shown in profile, his gaze steady, a symbol of integrity and leadership. On the reverse, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. While these features are familiar, the no mint mark variety is immediately noticeable to collectors who study the subtle details of coinage history. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1989 no mint mark penny is that it is not an officially recognized error in large quantities, yet it occasionally appears in circulation. Coins like these often arise due to minting anomalies or lapses during production. For collectors, this rarity, especially in uncirculated or mint condition, creates excitement. Even a coin that appears ordinary can become highly sought after when it carries this unusual trait, a small quirk that distinguishes it from the millions of pennies struck that year. So why is this penny valuable? The combination of scarcity and condition plays a key role. Unlike common Lincoln cents that are found by the thousands in pocket change, a 1989 no mint mark penny is rare enough to attract attention at coin shows, auctions, and online marketplaces. Collectors value it because it represents a tangible piece of minting history, a subtle anomaly that few people notice. Its story connects to the broader narrative of U.S. coin production and the minor changes that, over time, can create unexpected collectibles. In terms of real-world examples, uncirculated or near-mint specimens of the 1989 no mint mark penny have been known to sell for several $100s at auction, depending on their condition. High-grade coins, those that show no signs of wear and retain their original luster, can command even higher prices. Collectors have reported paying anywhere from a few hundred to over $1,000 for coins with pristine surfaces and strong visual appeal. While it may not reach the astronomical values of some 19th century rarities, for a 20th century Lincoln penny, this is significant. Identifying a genuine 1989 no mint mark penny is not difficult, but it does require a careful eye. First, examine the area where a mint mark would normally appear, just below the date on the obverse. If it's completely blank and shows no signs of erasure or tampering, that's a good sign. Second, inspect the coin for consistent details with standard 1989 Lincoln pennies. Weight, diameter, color, and design features should match typical issues from that year. Finally, consulting with reputable grading services or experienced coin dealers can provide additional assurance, especially if the coin is intended for investment or sale. Avoid buying from sources that cannot verify authenticity, as counterfeit or altered coins do exist, and the subtlety of a missing mint mark can be tempting for fraudsters. Beyond its rarity and value, the 1989 no mint mark penny has some fun and surprising details that make it a favorite among enthusiasts. For example, it serves as a reminder of the transition period in coin production during the late 20th century, when the mint was experimenting with new processes and materials. It also represents the ongoing appeal of Lincoln himself, whose image has graced the penny for over a century, making each coin more than just money. It's a small, portable piece of American history. Some collectors even enjoy the detective work involved in finding these coins in circulation, a modern treasure hunt where each discovery tells a story. Collectors love this coin today not only for its scarcity but also for its accessibility. Unlike older coins that can cost tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, the 1989 no-mint mark penny is within reach for many enthusiasts, offering a tangible connection to history without the extreme price tag. It's a coin that sparks curiosity, encourages education about U.S. minting practices, and celebrates the beauty of small, everyday objects that become extraordinary through time. Whether it sits in a collector's album or is discovered in a change jar, it carries the excitement of rarity and the satisfaction of owning something truly unique. So, the next time you handle a penny, take a closer look. Could it be a 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, quietly waiting to be discovered? Its story reminds us that even the most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary secrets. From the subtle absence of a mint mark to the historical significance of its design, this coin challenges us to notice the details we often overlook. The allure of the 1989 Lincoln penny lies not just in its potential value, but in the curiosity. Welcome back. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks ordinary at first glance, just a small, copper-colored penny. But hidden in its design is a story that can surprise even the most experienced collectors. Today, we're diving into a coin that many Americans may overlook in their change, yet holds an intriguing place in the world of rare pennies, the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. You might think, it's just a penny from the late 1990s. How special can it be? But the truth is, this coin carries a combination of subtle history, unique characteristics, and collector interest that makes it far more fascinating than most coins we handle every day. The 1998 Lincoln penny, officially called the Lincoln Cent, is part of a series that has been in production since 1909. Abraham Lincoln's profile has graced the obverse of this coin for more than a century, making it one of the most recognizable coins in the United States. The no-mint mark version was primarily produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not place a mint mark on its coins. For many casual observers, this may seem insignificant, but for coin enthusiasts, the absence of a mint mark can sometimes indicate a coin's origin, and in rare cases, it can hint at subtle production quirks or errors that increase its value among collectors. The year 1998 was an interesting time in U.S. coinage. The economy was strong, and pennies were being struck in massive quantities to meet everyday demand. Most 1998 pennies were made from a blend of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, a change that had begun in 1982 to reduce production costs. This meant that by the late 1990s, most Lincoln pennies were lighter, slightly paler than the classic all-copper coins of earlier decades. While the design remained largely consistent, with Lincoln's profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back, subtle details in the engraving and the coin's finish could make all the difference when it came to collector interest. The design itself is simple but iconic. Abraham Lincoln's profile is cleanly etched, showing the lines of his face, his beard, and the high collar of his coat. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a reminder of the nation's history and ideals. While this may seem standard to most people, coin collectors often look closely at the tiny details. The sharpness of Lincoln's features, the spacing of the letters, and even the thickness of the rim. Variations, no matter how small, can turn an ordinary penny into something special. In 1998, several minor minting anomalies occurred, such as double dies or slight planchet flaws. While these were not as dramatic as some of the more famous penny errors from earlier decades, they still catch the attention of dedicated collectors who search for coins that deviate just enough from perfection. So, why would a 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny be considered rare or valuable? First, it's important to note that rarity isn't always about age. Even modern coins can become collectibles if certain conditions are met. For this penny, some key factors include coins that were struck with unusual die variations, coins that escaped circulation in uncirculated or pristine condition, and coins that were part of very limited production runs at specific mints. While millions of pennies were produced in 1998, only a fraction exhibit the unique qualities that attract collectors. To understand this better, we can look at real-world examples. Over the past few years, several 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies in near-perfect condition have sold at auctions for prices far higher than their face value. Some uncirculated coins graded by professional services have been listed in the hundreds of dollars, simply because collectors prize their flawless condition and potential for long-term value growth. In comparison to coins from earlier centuries, These prices may seem modest, but for a coin barely 25 years old, it's a significant jump from the 1 cent face value. It also illustrates how even modern coins can capture the interest of serious collectors. Identifying a genuine 1998 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is easier than you might think, but attention to detail is crucial. Start by examining the obverse of the coin. Look for a sharp, clear image of Abraham Lincoln with no unusual distortions. The absence of a mint mark near the date indicates it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Next, check the coin's composition and weight. Authentic 1998 pennies are predominantly zinc with a thin copper coating, which makes them noticeably lighter than older, solid copper pennies. A quick visual inspection under bright light can reveal any irregularities in the surface. For coins suspected of carrying errors or unique die variations, it's wise to consult a professional grading service, as these small distinctions often determine collector value and help separate genuine coins from counterfeits. There are also some fun and surprising details about this penny. Unlike earlier pennies that could corrode quickly, the copper-plated zinc of the 1998 penny is surprisingly durable, often leaving these coins in excellent condition even after decades of circulation. Some collectors enjoy searching through change specifically for these late 1990s pennies because, despite their modern appearance, they sometimes hide small anomalies such as off-center strikes, doubled dies, or tiny scratches that add character and rarity. Another intriguing fact is that even though this penny features Lincoln, the first president to appear on U.S. coins, it also represents a subtle shift in minting practices. Less expensive metals, mass production, and increasingly precise quality control, all hallmarks of late 20th century coinage. Collectors are drawn to the 1998 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny not just for its potential value, but for its story. Holding this penny is like holding a piece of American history that is surprisingly modern. It's a snapshot of the economy, technology, and artistry of the late 1990s, preserved in a form that almost everyone has in their pocket at some point. The thrill of finding one in pristine condition, perhaps with a unique minting anomaly, gives collectors a connection to both the past and present, a tangible link to the small but intricate world of coins. Even casual coin enthusiasts appreciate the subtle beauty of this coin. Its size, weight, and design are familiar, yet the potential for hidden rarity keeps collectors coming back to inspect rolls of pennies, search through coin jars, and compare details under magnification. Each coin tells a story, and the 1998 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has many. From the decision to use zinc and copper to the artistry of the engraver, from the minting process at Philadelphia to the eventual collector who recognizes its uniqueness, this small coin carries more history than most might expect. So next time you hold a 1998 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, pause for a moment. Look closely at Lincoln's face, notice the shine of the copper plating, feel the weight, and consider the story behind it. While most of these coins remain everyday currency, a few carry the potential to be something extraordinary, waiting for the right collector to uncover their hidden value. The world of rare coins is full of surprises, and sometimes, the most fascinating treasures come in the smallest and most unassuming forms. Welcome back. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people pass by every day. Yet this tiny piece of metal could be hiding a secret worth hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving into the story of the 2005 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and coin enthusiasts. What makes it so interesting, and why do people search for it so eagerly? Let's explore. The 2005 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of pennies featuring Abraham Lincoln, a series that has been in production since 1909. This particular coin comes from the early 21st century, a time when pennies were made almost entirely for everyday use, not as collector items. But even coins minted for circulation can gain attention when there are unique characteristics, errors, or limited production numbers. The story of this penny begins with its design. The obverse, or front side, carries the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, inspired by the original design from 1909 by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's portrait is instantly recognizable, symbolizing both historical significance and the continuity of American coinage. The reverse design in 2005 featured a Union shield, a new design introduced that year to replace the previous Lincoln Memorial reverse. This shield symbolizes unity and strength, with 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies and a horizontal bar representing Congress. A subtle nod to American history and the values the penny represents. While most pennies are made in vast numbers, the 2005 no-mint mark version is slightly different. Unlike coins minted in Denver, which carry a small D mark, coins without a mint mark were produced in Philadelphia. In recent decades, coins from Philadelphia often went unnoticed because collectors tend to focus on older or rarer mint marks. However, the no-mint mark version of 2005 carries an appeal that goes beyond its basic production origin point. One of the unique features of the 2005 penny is its composition. By this time, pennies were made primarily of zinc, with only a thin copper plating. This makes them lighter than older pennies, but the striking details on Lincoln's profile and the shield on the reverse remain sharp. For collectors, sharpness, color, and lack of wear are critical factors in determining a coin's grade and value. Some 2005 no-mint mark pennies also carry interesting production anomalies. These can include double dies, slight misalignments, or tiny flaws in the shield stripes. While subtle, these errors can catch the attention of collectors looking for coins that stand out from the millions produced. So why is this penny considered rare or valuable? It's not because millions weren't made, but because a small fraction of these coins exist in uncirculated, pristine condition. Collectors often seek high-grade specimens, especially those graded by professional coin services. A coin in perfect condition from Philadelphia without a mint mark might carry a premium simply because fewer of them survive in such excellent condition. The combination of a modern design, the new shield reverse, and the absence of a mint mark makes it a sought-after piece for those completing Lincoln penny collections. Auction results and collector sales confirm this interest. While most circulated 2005 no-mint mark pennies are worth only their face value, uncirculated examples with exceptional detail can sell for $10 to $20, sometimes more if they carry a rare error or are graded highly by professional services. In some cases, a coin with a noticeable double die or a particularly striking color might even reach $50 or beyond. For a coin that millions pass through daily, that's a remarkable leap in value and a reminder that even modern coins can surprise us. Identifying a real 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is straightforward, but there are a few tips to ensure authenticity. First, look at the mint mark or lack of one just below the date. If there is no D, it was minted in Philadelphia. Next, examine the shield on the reverse. The lines should be sharp, straight, and evenly spaced. Coins that appear unusually thick, heavy, or have a different color may be suspect. Professional grading can provide additional certainty, especially for coins that are being sold for higher prices. Handling coins carefully, avoiding cleaning them, and keeping them in protective holders are all important steps to maintain their condition. There are some fun facts that make this coin even more interesting. The 2005 shield design was the first major change in the penny's reverse since the Lincoln Memorial design began in 1959. This makes every 2005 penny historically significant as a transition piece. Additionally, the Lincoln penny is the longest-running design in U.S. history featuring the same person, meaning that this coin carries over a century of American history in its metal. And while it might seem odd, some collectors enjoy spotting these coins in everyday change, treating each discovery like a miniature treasure hunt. Collectors love the 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny today because it combines modern production quality with historical significance. It represents the bridge between older, classic pennies and contemporary coinage. For those assembling complete Lincoln penny collections, this coin is a must-have because it marks the introduction of a design that is still widely admired. Its subtle errors, pristine examples, and the story of its minting all contribute to its desirability. Holding one in hand is like holding a piece of ongoing history, a reminder that even the smallest coins can carry stories and value far beyond their size. As we wrap up, consider this. Every time you handle a penny, you're touching a piece of history, a story of design, production, and sometimes unexpected rarity. The 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny might seem ordinary at first, but for those who look closely, it holds secrets, surprises, and a connection to American history that few everyday objects can match. The next time you see a penny on the ground or in your change, think twice. Could it be hiding a story waiting to be discovered? Could it be a coin that collectors are quietly seeking, tucked away in circulation, waiting for the right eye to notice its value? Even the most familiar objects can hold extraordinary secrets, and the 2005 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is proof of that. Who knows? The penny you overlook today might be the treasure someone searches for tomorrow. Keep your eyes open, handle coins with care, and remember that history, even in its smallest form, can always surprise you.